Hello, this tutorial is going to be about basic selections. And what a selection is it's a way for me to isolate a part of an image so that I can either color correct it or copy it to another layer and use that piece somewhere else. So I have to be able to make selections so that I can put this head on that body or this tire on that car. Okay, so here's the basic selections. All three of these in the toolbar are selection tools. And we're going to talk about the Marquee tool right here. And so, in order for you to be able to see this better, I'm going to make, you don't have to do this, but I'm going to make a solid color layer just so we can see a little bit better. I'm going to zoom in a couple of times, Command plus, and as I click and drag with the Marquee tool selected, I get a rectangle. If I click and drag again, it deletes the old one and makes a new one. If I click and drag inside instead of outside, it allows me to move around the marquee that I already have. If I want to add to this selection, I'm going to hold down the Shift key and notice how it makes a plus near my cursor. So I know that that modifier is going to add to my selection. It doesn't have to be connected to the selection, so I can do something like this, right? If I want to subtract from the selection, it will be the Option key. So Option is subtracting. Okay, and again, so I have all this area selected. There's another Shift and Option together will allow me to get the intersection of the new rectangle that I make and what's already selected. Something like that, okay? The other thing you should know is that these tools, or this tool by default, is just set to make a single selection. But those same modifiers that I held down, you can click over here and add to selection by just clicking on that button, and see how I have the plus now on the cursor. It's just faster for me to use the modifier key than it is to come up here and be clicking in the menu to make these things happen. Okay, so there's the intersection key. Don't usually use that either. Okay, so let's go. Turn this off, and we'll come. I'm just going to throw that away into the trash with you, I say. I want to deselect this. So I could, I guess, click outside of this, but to deselect something, I'm going to look under the select menu, and it's right here, or Command D. Use it so often, I remember Command D, so Command D in the future. Let me zoom back out here. So let's say I want to make a selection of that button. The rectangle tool is not going to do it, so I'm going to right click. That little teeny arrow in the corner means that there's more tools. And look, they all have them, except for the magnifying glass. So I'm going to right click here and pick the elliptical marquee tool. The single row selects one single row of pixels or a column of pixels. I don't think I've ever used that in my life, so I'm not going to bother you with that. But the elliptical marquee tool is a good one, especially when we're outlining a button. Now, here's another thing that you should know. Another modifier key that will help us out. To keep this thing round, perfectly round, if I hold down the Shift key, it constrains the aspect ratio to make that circle round. Also works for the Marquee tool to make it perfectly square. The problem here is that it's hard to figure out where to start exactly so that I end up with the button selected. So here's a trick. I can start clicking and dragging anywhere. I'm going to hold down the Shift key to make sure that my circle is a circle, and then to move the original location, or to move that circle, I'm going to add now the space bar. So I'm going to click down on the space bar, and now I can move this around, and then I let go of the space bar and I can grow it again or shrink it again. It's not in the right place, so I'm going to hold down the space bar one more time and then move it to the right location. And by doing this, and then I'm going to let go of my mouse button, then I'm going to let go of the space bar and the Shift. It allows me to move that around and get it in the right place and select what I want to select. Okay, let's say for instance that we just want this big red X with these nice curved edges on them. So I'm going to go back and select, right click and select the rectangular marquee tool, and I'm going to delete those from my selection. I can come up here and click on this, or I can hold down Option, and that's my preference. So I'm going to hold down Option. I'm going to start in this corner right here, click and drag away, and then when I let go, see how it's been removed from that selection. So I'm going to show you real quick. This is the selected area. All this outside is not. So I can affect that area with whatever I want to do, copy, color correction, or whatever. So let me get back out of that. I'm going to Option, click and drag out of here, like so, and then I'll click and drag out of here, like so, and one more time over here, click and drag, like so. So now I have just that red area selected. Okay, so in order to use that red area, let's say we wanted to move it to another part of the image, I'm going to copy it from here and move it into another layer. There's a lot of ways to do that, but the most common way is I like to call it jump it up. And here's why I call it jump it up. So select, let's see, no, it's layer. So under layer, I don't even know where it is because I use the shortcut too much. Under layer I have new, and then layer via copy, Command J. So that's how I remember jump. Command J will jump that up, and see how it makes a new layer for me. And if I turn this off, you can see the checkerboard, which means the background is transparent. Okay, so to prove that to you, let me just move that around. I have that layer selected. I have chosen the Move tool, and you can see that it's transparent, so I can put it on the background, change the color of it, the rotation, the size, and all that kind of stuff, and I can make 100 of them, whatever I need to do. But I needed to make a selection before that happened, so that's why it's important to understand the selection tools and which ones to use to make your job of selecting easier. That's it. Keep watching. Get smart.